to all honourable members in this House. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to discuss the EU-Mercosur partnership agreement with you. As you know, this has been a busy plenary week, and it has been my honour to address the House from this podium several times. On each occasion, it has been necessary to frame our dialogue in terms of the world that Europe finds itself in today. A world of increased global competition, a rise in unfair economic practices, and a more complex and uncertain geopolitical reality. In the face of this, the European Union's network of free trade agreements, the world's largest, is a vital asset in ensuring we can maintain our economic edge. I've heard the same messages from many of you honourable members in a plenary debate on Tuesday, where a new trade era was discussed, as well as yesterday, where we discussed the Commission work programme for this year. Free trade agreements open up markets around the world to our companies. They provide drivers for growth and innovation, and they are helping our industry retain and regain its competitiveness. And these agreements are mutually beneficial, with the EU being a trusted trading partner in a rules-based system. We only need to look to the comprehensive economic and trade agreement between the EU and Canada to see the real-world benefits. At the time when the old world order in global trade is being shaken up, it is more important than ever to grow this free trade agreement network. This growth can contribute to our overarching efforts to the risk via trade diversification and ensure our long-term industrial competitiveness. The EU-Mercosur partnership agreement is a vital element of this effort and a sign of our commitment to the Latin American region. The conclusion of negotiations strengthens our political and economic ties, giving EU companies a first-mover advantage in a region where trade with China is dominant. For instance, China is the main exporter to and importer from Brazil. The agreement will provide additional continuity, stability and predictability in our trade relations. And it highlights that the regional blocs can commit to shared values and deliver concrete results for the mutual benefits of our citizens. Above all, the agreement is an economic win-win for the European Union. It offers export opportunities to the fifth biggest global economic bloc outside the European Union, with 273 million potential consumers. Our exports to Mercosur already amount to 84 billion euros, with the EU investment in the region of some 340 billion euros. But with this agreement, we can now strengthen this trade and investment relationship even further. This allows for a partial or for example, this agreement would help us to save and especially to EU exporters over 4 billion euros in customs duties every year. 4 billion euros a year. It would eliminate tariffs on the key commodities like, if you take as an example, cars, which are currently at the level of 35%. If I'm talking about machinery, I'm talking about 20%. If you look at chemicals, it's 18%, and if you look at pharmaceuticals, it's 14%. So you see that these duties are very, very high, and we are going to completely eliminate them. Mercosur countries can become one of our best sources of critical raw materials, thereby increasing our resilience by diversifying our supply chains. And I can assure you that the deal reached in Montevideo in December is not only a good deal, but it's also a new deal, different and better than the one agreed in 2019. We have secured several negotiated outcomes that respond to our sustainability concerns while preserving the EU's sensitivities. By including the Paris Agreement on climate change as an essential element, the EU EU-Mercosur Partnership Agreement sends a strong message in support of multilateral cooperation on climate change. And this allows for a partial or total suspension if a party leaves the Paris Agreement or if it undermines it from within. The agreement also contains legally binding commitments to take measures to halt deforestation as of 2030. Importantly, the agreement provides a critical platform of cooperation with Mercosur countries on our common sustainability ambitions, with strong commitments on labour and the environment. In addition, we have reached a balanced outcome on agri-food trade, considerably improving market access for many EU agri-food products while striking a cautious balance. In sectors where our interests are more sensitive, we negotiated clear and well-calibrated tariff quotas amounting to a very small percentage of EU consumption. For example, not more than 1.5% of beef, for example, as well as gradual implementation to market opening over several years. The Commission will monitor market developments closely after the agreement is implemented, particularly with regard to the agricultural sector, to ensure that the partnership with Mercosur does not negatively affect the competitiveness of the European farmers. In case of an imbalance, we will impose safeguards to protect our sensitive sectors and to ensure that agriculture producers are fully protected. President von der Leyen has announced that at least €1 billion will be available to address any unforeseen circumstances. As a last point on Mercosur, we know that the EU consumers care about the quality and safety of their food. And health and consumer protection was never and will never be up for negotiations. Already today, agricultural products imported from Mercosur countries and from any other third country with or without trade agreements must comply with the EU's strict sanitary and phytosanitary standards. Honourable members, I know how important openness and cooperation on trade issues is to this House. Indeed, it came up in our debate on trade and preparedness on Tuesday, to which I was referring earlier on. So I want to underline that I have already engaged on Mercosur with the INTA committee and with the Agri Committee, together with Commissioner Hansen, responsible for agriculture, as well as with different working groups. And I see this as an ongoing dialogue, and I want to assure you that we will continue to listen to your concerns, provide you with factual answers, and ensure your views are taken into account moving forward. So I will stop here, Madam President, and I look forward to our exchanges and the debate. Thank you very much.
Herzlichen